just poured a little taste of the 2016 VR Special Cabernet Sauvignon. This is a library selection. And
for your drinking pleasure.
Named after a pretty special guy in your life, Chad, right?
Yeah, Grandpa Rhodes
Awesome.
passed away in 2009 and named this wine in his honor in his world famous chocolate chip cookie. At least it was world famous to me when I was a kid. So pretty darn tootin'. A little picture of Grandpa on the back, one of my favorite pictures. Pretty cool. Check it out.
Yeah, you're like held up in his hand. You had tremendous balance back at that time.
Yeah, I always say that's when you could drop kids in your head and smoke when you're pregnant and drink when you're pregnant. And nobody had seatbelts in cars. And look at us, we turned out okay, right?
Ish.
Well, yeah, this wine's cool, man. It's gives everybody a chance to try something with a couple years of age on it. And Cab being one of the most age-worthy wines that people talk about, I think this is holding up great. I mean, it's just starting to show a little bit of secondary characteristics. Tannins are starting to soften, a little more of that cedar tobacco-y stuff is coming out. Still loads of primary fruit. I mean, looking at the edges, you can barely see there's any change, bricking or anything. It's holding up great.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just starting to clear out just a little bit, but yeah, this is youthful.
Big, rich, round entry, plush and polished. To me, one of the things I love about Washington Cab, and I think this exemplifies in spades, is kind of an old world sensibility with herbs and earth and dusty and all that kind of good stuff, and that bright core of New World fruit that Washington always has.
Yeah, I think that's just such a beautiful thing about Washington wines in general, but I think it really becomes pronounced in Cabernet Sauvignon. And I was talking to some folks about this the other day, in talking about Cabernet Sauvignon specifically, because you know, in New World Cab, the benchmark is obviously not our state. It's you know, the famed Napa Valley. But I think our
burning Napa Valley.
I think our Cab is more really kind of in tuned with the style of what's coming out of Bordeaux, or historically has come out of Bordeaux.
Yeah, and I think, well, a big chunk of this is Southland too, which is great. And when I put my nose to those wines, it always reminds me of Old World Cabernet Sauvignon, for sure.
Awesome. And so one of the things I always like to think about in terms of Old World wines, and specifically Old World Bordeaux, is like what I'm going to eat with it.
Yeah, do you eat?
Once in a while. I mean, I bet you can't see me. I disappeared from the camera this way. They can't see me anymore because I'm on. But I'll bring it back this way right now. So. But yeah, no, we like to eat at Dusty Valley. So what's one of the dishes that you really like to pair with our special? I mean, besides Grandpa's chocolate chip cookies.
Of course.
Because everybody's always asking me about the chocolate chip cookies. And so I finally have been saying that Chad lost the recipe on one of his moves from the Midwest to the West Coast.
No, never know. It's with the Ark of the Covenant somewhere.
It's somewhere. Yeah.
Can't find it.
But no, I mean, tell me about food. Have you got some thoughts about food with this one?
For some reason, when I always think of Cabernet, I think of steak. I don't know if it's because I'm longing for steakhouses and things, but it just kind of is one of those natural things. Talking about meat on the grill again.
Well, what's your favorite steak? Like, I mean, that's a great question because that's like one of the biggest debates. I mean, nowadays, I mean, you know.
Well, I'm not a tenderloin guy. Tender's great, but I don't mind chew. I like flavor and taste and fat. I've been doing some of the butcher's choice, like hanger steaks. I've been getting at Butcher downtown. It's awesome. Favorite, meaty,
really beefy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's rocking.
I can see that with this one for sure. Awesome.